Howdy there, my friends. How y'all doing today? It's the 28th, I believe, of July 2017, and well, I'm making a video. I got my morning coffee here, third cup. And I've been up for a while, and I was out in there playing with Legos with my kids. I found a bunch on Craigslist for a really good deal. Got like 25 pounds or so, and just endless amounts of things to create. And when I was in there building something, I started thinking of how Lego compared to, say, Minecraft. Minecraft is, of course, a block game, but it's played online, so, you know, once you're done with your world, you can just build a new world. And I was thinking about how in Legos, you build something, and once all the parts are used up, they're gone. And if you want to build something else, you have to deconstruct. And I thought of that as a metaphor for the Earth. It sounds extreme, perhaps, but how like a Lego Earth set. You know, I hadn't thought about how it would operate, but the idea that you could somehow create a world in which you could utilize, you know, plants and wood and various resources for building things, but once you had used them up, there was no more to build with, so you might have to consolidate, and, you know, it probably wouldn't work because you can't grow vegetation with Legos, but you get where I'm coming from. It's a matter of once the resources are gone, you start over, and that's what we're doing here with with our planet. And I would say that maybe that's an extreme way to put it, because resources, they don't get used up, they change form, but in that sense that they get used up. What I mean is that people will tell you energy doesn't go anywhere, it just changes form, and that we utilize what we have here. Oil is here on the earth, and, you know, it's given to us. This is not what this video is about, really. It's just kind of a ramble, but I was thinking about people and our perceptions and the arguments that we have about what we think is going on around us, and using the earth as an example because climate science is one of those issues where people will completely support or deny it depending on, you know, their own perspective and what we've been shown. And I started thinking about the media, religion, politics, the world around us, all the science and information that we're being constantly bombarded with, and how it's very difficult for us as people, as conscious beings, to assimilate that knowledge and to derive a conclusion that is satisfactory. We can create our own realities, of course, and we can just go along with the group, which is what a majority of people seem to do. You know, if you're just following a political party or following a belief system because others have told you, then it's, you know, there's not much I can say about that isn't obvious, but there's what I wanted to get to here was the root of being happy. And as far as happiness being, it's not about happiness, it's more about how do we get to what's really important. And looking at humans as being, let's take the extreme view of humans being put here and the earth being put here for humans, like the religious view. Humans feel like they're central, human-centric, if you will. But if you look at the universe through the lens of the magnitude, the size, the age, we know that humans are just a blip in history. And so that seems to disempower people. But looking at that through a different lens, you realize it should fully empower you. And I'll give you the example. If you're trapped in religious paradigm where you think this is what I have to do and this is what afterlife's like, so be it, that's fine. But you're living your life in a way that you believe the universe wants you to live it. In other words, or the way God wants you to live it. So you might make a choice not to do a certain thing, or to explore a certain thing, or to have a certain opinion because you're afraid that it might harm you long term in your soul or your spirit. So from a person like that to see a person who, say, is an atheist, they might feel sorry for an atheist and think, man, this person has no God in their life, they're godless, they must not care, they must be in denial or want to justify the things that they do that are, you know, not so great. Of course, this is just a fallacy, because everyone from every religion, as well as atheism, there are plenty of people out there who break their own rules and can kind of slide around. the laws of their own belief system. So what I'm getting at here is that empowering yourself, it means realizing the insignificance of it all, and then starting with the clean slate, being able to create your own significance. And I know that from a religious standpoint, that's considered satanic, if you will, by some people. They say that that's what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to ignore, go against God and say, no, this is the life I want to live. And I say, well, shame on anybody who thinks that we shouldn't live our lives the way we want to, so long as we're harming none. But that's a completely, that's a subject that people could argue about all day long. And so all of these differences in opinion are to build up to the point I wanted to make, I guess, which is that holy shit, you're fucking alive, dude. You woke up this morning, you're functioning, you're able to have enough coherence to listen to this video, then to go about your day and do whatever you want. Maybe you're in a little bit of pain, maybe you have no legs, maybe you're blind. I would say maybe you're deaf, but I guess if you're watching this with subtitles, maybe you're deaf. It's a matter of using what we do have to embrace this life and come fully into it and enjoy it to the maximum we can. And I believe to do that, we have to be honest with ourselves. So that is really the main point here, is holy shit, I'm alive. What is this consciousness? Now humans, naturally, you can only take that so far. If you're a thinking person, you might say, okay, this is great, it's dandy, I woke up another day, I'm alive, I'm doing okay, but I need more answers. And then the question becomes, what do you need answers about and why? And when it becomes religious, or I use the word religious, but what I really mean is, I guess, the spiritual, or anything beyond mortal life here. I don't blame anyone for attaching onto ideas. In fact, I envy people that can actually convince themselves that something is true with no evidence, and if that makes them happier and makes their lives better, I think, hey, that's great, you know. I'm one of the people who I feel like it's kind of my job to pick everything apart. I'm a skeptic, but I'm not a skeptic because I want to dismiss things. I'm a skeptic because I want to get to the bottom of the truth. I don't want to just settle for something I hear and say, that sounds good. You know, every single news story that I come across, or a post that goes on Facebook, Google, anywhere else, when somebody posts something and says, hey, can you believe this? Like, for example, somebody posted earlier, like a little link to some Earth love site thing, and it says, you know, the brightest meteor shower in the history of humanity is coming in on August 12th. And they said it's going to be more meteors than ever before, and, you know, basically saying that there's going to be the biggest meteor shower of all time next month. And I said, well, that's interesting. I didn't hear about that. And so I went and looked it up, and of course there are plenty of people explaining, hey, you know, research your news, this is not really happening. The Perseid meteor shower comes every summer, but they vary by intensity and yada yada. The point is that somebody made that article, and somebody actually put that together and posted it without vetting it, or purposefully lied. And this is, I bring this up because it's the situation as humans we're in right now. This whole idea that everything we don't want to hear is fake news. I think that looking at things rationally and fairly, we can say that people are desperate. People want to understand their world. People are desperate to prove themselves and desperate to be proven to by others. Sometimes when a person is prying a person for evidence or proof, it's not because they want to dismiss them or disprove them. It's because they really want to know if that's true. And that's the mistake that I have with people sometimes. They think that I'm trying to pick them apart. Like, I've had personal discussions with friends or family where if they say something and I say, actually, that's not true, instantly I'm the bad guy. Because I'm saying, I'm disputing, I'm arguing. But I take the Aristotelian argument, because arguing for me is how you get to the truth. If you're going to pose something, if you're going to say something, then everybody has a right to ask you how you know that if you're going to state it as truth. But I guess that's kind of one of the main points I wanted to make. It's not worth it. If a person makes a statement to me that the earth is flat, and I say, oh, I disagree, and then they tell me to do my research, I'm not going to sit there and spend my time explaining the research I've done and how I heard this 20 years ago, and I've, you know, it's not worth the time to go and prove ourselves to other people when it's going to take hours out of our life in order to even express it, or even a few minutes. And I think sometimes it is important to use a few minutes, because if you're not willing to explain your point to people, nobody's going to care. But or nobody's, you're just going to be stuck in your own delusion. So posing your ideas is a way to put them out there, feel it out to see what other people think. Because one person doesn't have it all figured out. It really is a collective. And the one thing in the collective that we all agree on, whether we argue about religion or politics or how to live our lives or what's the most beautiful aesthetic to a human or to a mountain or to anything, we can all agree that beauty exists. We can all agree that life is beautiful. And I think that we can, well, and what I say is, I mean, if you're willing to observe nature around you, some people don't think life is beautiful. They think it's an ugly thing, but I won't go into that. That's a sad way of thinking. It is what you make it. And everything in life is what we make it. The sooner we figure that out and realize that nobody else will make us happy, nobody else will answer our questions, nobody else out there, no matter how many gurus or saints or teachers we search through, they can only tell us, find it for yourself. And that's the best thing that I've ever learned, is when a person ends their conversation with, don't believe me, look it up for yourself and feel it yourself. And that's really one of the main points here, is that it's not about looking anything up. The most important things in life cannot be defined, they cannot be researched, they cannot be proven. They have to be felt. And for some people that's not enough. For others, just feeling a certain way is enough to believe anything they want to believe. So be it. Everyone is free to believe what they want, do what they want, as long as they're not harming others. But really to remember that, set all the bullshit aside, holy shit, I'm alive. I woke up this morning, I'm functioning, Who am I? How did my consciousness become my consciousness? If I was someone else, I'd be someone else, We can never understand consciousness because we are conscious observers. By researching consciousness, we are consciously affecting the outcome of that experiment. So it's one of the things that can never be understood, in my opinion. I'm sure people think that they'll find it, but there are some things that we just have to learn aren't meant to be known in any human description. I can't even define what I'm trying to say half the time because of that, but so just be. And when it comes down to people saying live in the now, it doesn't mean, it has multiple meanings, but I really wanted to kind of sum this up before I go. Over the years I'd heard that so many times, I always thought living in the now means not worrying about the future or not dwelling in the past, but really being in the moment. And it is. But there's some part to it that people don't mention. It's silencing the inner dialogue. That's what being in the now is. It means that you're not sitting there looking at a beautiful mountain or going on a hike and thinking about your taxes that are due, or thinking about how you owe somebody money or a health problem you have. It's about realizing sometimes that we've been sitting in a beautiful location and observing something and not even seeing it because we're thinking and quieting the inner dialogue takes time. And I didn't even realize it existed until I started researching like Eastern mysticism and Buddhism, and I started understanding my inner voice and understanding that it can be useful, but it needs to be quieted. And that's what meditation is useful for. Quiet the inner voice, and the voice of truth and reason comes to you. So that's my ramble for the morning. I hope you all are doing fantastic, and thanks for watching. And for what it's worth, I haven't been making any videos lately. I wanted to mention that every time I go to want to make one, I figure out that's not interesting, or I just don't want to do it. And that was never a problem in the past. And I'm wondering why after 5 years of making YouTube videos, all of a sudden I'm just not into it. Honestly, I thought it would come sooner. I thought I'd be tired of making them after a year, because I'm a go-to-everything kind of guy, one thing to another. But this home base has been something for me. But now when I have to work, I mean, I don't make any money off my YouTube channel, except the few donations I might get. So it's not like I can really justify sitting and making videos all day. But anyhow, peace and love, everybody, and I'll talk to you all sometime, whenever.